How do you deal with people who don't or choose not to exhibit emotions? Okay. Yeah. So in many ways, what we've talked about applies here as well. You're wanting and needing the other person to be a certain way so that you can feel good about yourself and feel good about interacting with them. And they're not being the way you want them to be. They're not showing emotions. They're not showing feelings that give you information so that you can then deal with them and maybe work something out, and they're just closed up and they're just not willing to talk. Well, by wanting them to be different and trying to force them to talk, it's not going to happen. I can tell you that. The way it can happen, however, is by witnessing, by holding space for their being the way they are, not wanting them to be different. And it's just giving them the space to be as they are, because when you provide resistance to that, when you want them to be different, when you're starting to argue for them to change, that's when they really become defensive and lock up and close up and are not willing to open up. That opening up has to come from within. You can't control that. You have no say on that. It'll happen when it happens, and you have to step back and assess the situation. Like, are you willing to allow time and space to be? How much time and space? Or do you move on or find a different outlet? That's the reality that you can actually act on and have an impact on. But trying to change somebody is not possible. You can't change them by wanting them to be different. Okay? But by holding your own space for yourself, by being you, you are having the best impact, the most impact that you could possibly have on them, and showing them a mirror of themselves, because they're not getting any resistance from you. So that means they get to kind of experience themselves. They get to hear and see their own words and their thoughts, and because you're not injecting yourself, and suddenly there's an awareness that can arise. Doesn't happen every time, or maybe it happens over a longer period, but by letting a person be, you're creating the space for them to self-reflect, and suddenly that openness can happen. And you'd be surprised how people that are so used to being resisted, and it keeps them stuck in being a certain way, and everywhere they want you almost to resist them, because if you don't, then they don't know themselves as that yet. They want you to lock them into their existing behavior, because that's what they're used to. And the moment you stop resisting and just allow them to be, suddenly there's space. And this desire, this fervor that feeds in them, that feeds off of your resistance to them, suddenly has nowhere to go. It just dissipates. And that's when things open up, and it can be very surprising how suddenly the relationship shifts. And to do that, it's your quality of attention, it's you not getting engaged and injecting your own needs, it's you not being dependent on them being a certain way. All of this goes into this. But you can be a change maker, both for yourself and for other people, by purely being you, sticking to being you, and not wanting the world and the people and places and things around you to be any different than they are.